everything in place?
You weren't supposed to relieve me.
I know, but I felt like taking a shift.
You like him, don't you? You like watching him.
Don't be ridiculous.
We're gonna kill him. You understand that?
Morpheus believes he is the one.
To you?
It doesn't matter what I believe.
You don't, do you?
Did you hear that?
Hear what?
Are you sure this line is clean?
Yeah, of course I'm sure.
I better go.
Welcome to the real world. Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight we're going into the Matrix. I spent hours today. Joyful, creative, deserving, powerful, inspiring self-gratification, bliss hours today. Fashioning the concept of all this, how it parallels with reality. It took me about 2.5 hours to make the video you just saw. And I had to dance around all kinds of copyrights. Dear Lord, be with me. I had to use GIFs instead of movie clips to put this together. So here we are in the Matrix. Tonight we're going to be talking about the Matrix. What is it? And how to move beyond it. It will parallel with your life. It's the same teachings that many teachers are talking about, but hopefully I will bring this through in another way of seeing reality by using movie, by using said poetry, by using said art, with the movie we know as The Matrix. Phenomenal. My absolute favorite movie. So why did I put all these hours into what I did? I simply could have held up a cell phone and did an interview or presentation. Now I know why I do all this. I like theater. I never had an outlet for theater. Not that I want to be an actor, but production. I like production. It is my vision, which I have now, but to expand beyond an apartment. I'm doing the same powerful work that I would be doing then. But it's just another way of playing. It's taking things to another level. Everyone wants to expand, and because this is my love and my joy, I want to expand further, bigger, deeper into the matrix of my passion and play in a bigger arena. Speaking of arena, tonight we're in the arena of the Matrix. What is the Matrix? My God, your body is a matrix, housing trillions and trillions of cells, all working together. Even in disease, they are working together. Because you take the brain out of the equation, everything shuts down. One is the overlord or the governing factor. The brain is the governing factor of the body. The heart really is, but let's say the brain because that's the construct. Construct? Welcome to the Matrix. Brain implies mind, though they're not the same at all. If I ask many people to point to their mind, they'll do this. That's your brain. That's not your mind. That's your head. That's your skull. Your mind is in the empty space of body. Mind and body are one. It's a coin. The mind would be heads, and the body would be tails. It's the same coin. And the empty space of body is mind. So when one gets ill, look at the aspect of the mind that has such ideas about oneself, and you will see that if it's a lung issue, they may feel they don't have breathing room in their life. Everyone's choking them. Everyone's stifling their their breath, or you always take my breath away kind of thing. Hands represent control. This is how you break your hands. Maybe you might break this finger because you're always pointing at people. Their fault, their fault, their fault. Nearsighted people don't have a problem what's in front of them, but they can't see far because they have an issue with what's coming in the future. Vice versa, all across the board. This is how the mind and body relate. So, the matrix of your what you think is you is trillions upon trillions of cells saying, how's your mom and them? Hanging out. Some of them go to social events and they get in fights. You got white blood cells attacking these bad cells and bacteria, and they get into a kerfuffle. But when it becomes dominant, disease starts to set in. But you are a living matrix, a community, calm unity of intelligence. But we got lost in the matrix because there's always an opposite opponent. And I don't mean opponent as in a competition. That's our point of view. But we can use our own volition to move out of the matrix of said duality, where there are lots of AI, artificial intelligence. There's artificial intelligence everywhere. I can prove it to you right here, right now. How's your mom and them? Give me a call sometime. Artificial intelligence. That's everywhere. To what level that we don't know yet. You are holding more power in your hand than was used to shoot the first people to the moon, if that actually really happened. It would have taken 2 city blocks of computers. Imagine what it is that's going to be released that you don't know about. So this matrix of you, the body, then we have a matrix of family, and then we have a matrix of neighborhood, and a matrix of community, a matrix of city, state, country, so forth, world. But what is the matrix I'm speaking about? It's the nonsense and the bullshit. And guess whose bullshit it belongs to? You don't want to break your finger, so don't point. It's my responsibility, but yet it's all of our responsibility. Everyone in the matrix that is not awakened is a potential agent, so to speak. Look out and about. Is that not true? Every day of the week. Seek, and you shall find. Don't seek too much, because it can make you blind. Because you're constantly touching yourself. You know the saying, you touch yourself, you go blind? You're touching yourself. You're trying to see too much. You're playing with things too much versus just simply relaxing and sitting back. When's the last time you just simply sat back and relaxed and just truly let things happen? Deja vu will reveal itself. The black cat. What was that? I don't know. I just saw 2 things I like. APOC. Welcome to the Matrix. The real world. Are you ready to be unplugged? Let's look at what the Matrix is. It's all around you, Neo. It's there when you pay your taxes. It's here in this room. Here are some hashtags I used surrounding this presentation of Into the Matrix. And all of these are valid. None is above the other. In fact, this is an equal playing field. Self-help is a hashtag I used today for this presentation. Self-help. You have to want to help yourself out of the matrix. First and foremost, nothing will happen until you make that decision. Nothing. You can follow any other hashtags. Nothing happens until you make the decision to help yourself, Neo. I can only show you the door, Neo. You have to open it. And in this helping of the self, you will find that you will grow spiritually. Hashtag number 2. And you will expand. And you will be standing before infinite possibilities. I think he's beginning to believe, Trinity. You're sitting in weight of infinite potential. Liberation. Becoming the one, Neo, which is the same 3 letters spelled differently. One, O-N-E, Neo, N-E-O, right? And you will gain absolute awareness. This is the new world, Zion, 2021. Enter the matrix, the rabbit hole. There's lots of information in the rabbit hole. But you need intuition to guide you correctly. If not, you will go into a rabbit poop hole and end up with a handful of stinky rabbit shit. How do I know that? Because I'm human. I'm just like you. And I often find myself not smelling so well. Clearing. Is most important. Clearing the nonsense. I have been engaging in the world and I had a blast doing it until today I realized, in my convincing myself that I had a blast doing it, I didn't like it so much. Clarity. I lacked clarity. And I realized the noise and the illusion, which was in contrast to reality, which gave me a glimpse. And another part of me is awakened. But here's the key to get out of the matrix. You have to climb the mountain, champion the mountain, and brave the wilderness of trauma. Trauma. Trauma will keep you latched, tied in, never to escape the matrix. Trauma. Well, I'm pretty happy. Fantastic. How much happier can you be? Well, I don't know. I think I'm full. No, you're not. The well is infinite. So infinite that if you truly allow that water to gush, that life-giving stream to gush into you, you probably would explode and lose your body. Hello, Neo. You're the one. Are you not? What's really going to bake you noodle later is if, would you have broken that lamp if I had not told you about it? So, are psychics real and what they predict? What do you think? Maybe the event was coming as to why they saw it, or maybe because they foretold it to you, they dropped a seed in your head and it became self-fulfilling. Is it so self-fulfilling? If it is, stand up in glee and joy and thank them and invite them over again and pay for their food and have them tell you some more. Hello, Calvin Renando. Tonight is Enter the Matrix. Everything is matrix. Everything is code, light codes. Everything is connected. Everything is math. I'm getting enough of this green in this theater. Let's move into the illusionary world. Woo! So everything is in code. Everything is math. It binds us all together. Sacred geometry. I have a video I'm going to play a little later of Shunyamurti about the world is collapsing, meaning it so parallels the Matrix, not only the movie, but this understanding that the movie has brought about in our lives so that we can see the parallel. You know, Keanu Reeves said, The Matrix is not a movie, it's a documentary. I see that. I clearly see it. In fact, I watched it today laying in bed with my little kitty so I can get in the energy of that and to create this presentation. I had a blast doing it, watching one of my favorite movies. I hope your life is serving you in the capacity that I'm describing that brings me that level of joy. All right, so I'm going to continue with my presentation here with some information. The definition of matrix. Something within or from which something else originates. Yah, God, the heart. The matrix, the divine matrix, that which is the source of the entire light branches. Everything is connected through sort of like fiber optic light branches and code. Code would be location, and the light branches would be the highway or the interstate or the interstate or the inner state. Sort of like longitude and latitude. And code would be the point where the 2 points of longitude and latitude meet, as to why the code would imply a pausing, a code, because everything else would be free information and running as fast as it possibly can at light God speed until it's interrupted with a code that says detour, binary, trinary, quadary, whatever code I'm trying to give it so it can do its thing or whatever it needs to do. Continuing with the definition of matrix. Something within or from which something else originates, develops, or takes form an atmosphere of understanding and friendliness that is the matrix of peace. A mold from which a relief surface is made. An engraved and inscribed die. I don't mean like die as in death. I think it means die as in a die, a mold, something that molds something together, a die. Or stamp, that's right. An electroformed impression of a phonograph record used for mass producing duplicates, robots, hello clones, AI, we did talk about that a minute ago, of the original. The natural material, such as soil or rock, in which something, such as a fossil or crystal, is embedded. It's embedded as stone, embedded like a rock in our brain. We're locked into the matrix of the mind. Material in which something is enclosed or embedded, as for protection or study. The extracellular substance in which tissues, as of connective tissues, all these words are important. I'm reading this for the first time. Or embedded. The thickened epithelium at the base of the fingernail or toenail from which new nail substance develops. A rectangular array of mathematical elements, coefficients of simultaneous that can be combined to form sums and products with similar arrays having an appropriate number of rows and columns. Those structures that I described, the matrix, which is the longitude and latitude, that has these points where in the middle where four things come together, because they're all cubes-ish, if you will, a spherical cube kind of formation. Something resembling a mathematical matrix, especially an arrangement of elements into rows and columns. So I think we're understanding what the matrix actually is. The matrix actually is, I'm gonna grab this. This is important. Welcome to Center of Light. Tonight we're speaking about Center of Light. I'm multitasking, forgive me. Center of Light rabbit hole. We go into the rabbit hole of our heart, H-O-L-E, or H-O-L, the rabbit hole, only to come out smelling stinky because we walked in rabbit doo-doo. One moment, I'm grabbing some text. One sec. Welcome, everyone. Good to see you. Center of Light. We're having some fun in the Matrix. I'm going to drop this text real quick. There we go. And I wasn't ready on this. So to further explain what the Matrix is, which I have vesseled in 1996, which eventually turned into Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. Hello, Alex Perez. Hello, Amy Jameson. Hello, Marina. So, from Homecoming, Crossing the Bridge to the Soul, this will lay out the grid. 1996, my conversation with Spirit about what is a matrix and how does it look like. Spirit says clarity and love are the building blocks that give the universe its form and maintain its integrity. It sustains everything, basically. They are the code and law you must follow to become aware of Spirit's omniscience, a reality that is only accessible to those who are no longer within shouting or whispering distance of the ego's voice. Infinite possibilities reside within you now, beloveds. Can you see them? Can you hear them? Can you feel them? So this is a code. Everything is code. Trauma brings you to the meeting point of the longitude and the latitude. And in gratitude, to be blessed for your traumas, believe it or not, will help your attitude and give you altitude. When you get out of all the platitudes and all the platypus, it's the only way out of the matrix. There's lots of rabbit holes, twists and turns everywhere. And you're the only one navigating your life. I'm going to take a song break, and I'm going to come back and play a video from Shunyamurti, and his beautiful, powerful, illumined way is going to share what the matrix is and how to get out of it. I'll see you shortly. Let me see what it is I'm going to play. How about something a little different?
Something happened inside my heart when you walk by. You know I never knew love. What did I dream of until you walk by? Until you walk by. Till you walk by.
Welcome back to Center of Light Rabbit Hole. Rabbit Hole. Center of Light Rabbit Hole. Hole. WHOLE as well as HOLE. Rabbit hole, wholeness. Going inside of the matrix, the divine matrix, to achieve the wholeness, become intelligent with the divine intelligence, to have a relationship with your divine parent, but also eking out rabbit holes, finding nothing but disgusting rabbit stink. What do you think? Maybe the think tank is the matrix itself. I'd say it is. My new bestseller, Homecoming: Crossing the Bridge to the Soul. There's a link at the beginning of this presentation, how to purchase this book if you have not already. Check it out. It's the matrix. It's the door. It is a door. If you have purchased it and read it, you can use the same link to give me a review. Not many people know that I put out a children's book. Still plan on doing it, making it a series. Modeled after my son, Eden Sky. Eden Sky wonders why. How do I get to heaven? Someone drew it with a pencil, colored pencils. It looks exactly like my son. I'll give you a quick glimpse of he and I's picture in the back. It's phenomenal. I love it. All right. Let me show you one more page. He always walked, because it's Eden Sky wonders why, he's always full of question. He always asks his dad, Dad, why does this and that happen? Dad, why does this and that happen? So his shirt has a question mark. But when he looks at himself in the mirror of the pond, and beautiful nature, fish and turtles are attracted to his light, the question mark is on his chest, and the reflection is an exclamation point. That's the matrix. Welcome to the real world. I love having fun, and I realized today, thank you for the realization, y'all, that I do all this work. I could simply hold up a phone and just talk like many people do. I like theater. I didn't realize that until now. I should have. I'm a musician and all that stuff. So, welcome to the Matrix. Now I'm going to play you some Shunyamurti. It's called Collapsing. I think it's called, let me see. The Collapsing of the Illusory World. Totally defines the Matrix. I'm asking you to take this time for a couple of seconds. Reflect on the movie The Matrix. The energy of it. The storyline of it. The fantasy of it. Fiction is a lot more, seems more real than what we would call truth. Fantasy is everything. Imagine all the people. Imagine. John Lennon was so smart. He asked you in the song, every time he's saying, he's supplicating you. He's commanding you to imagine. Imagine there's no countries. So you take it in. You start imagining on levels you don't even think you're imagining. It isn't hard to do. It's not something you effort. Right? Imagine. Fantasy. Fantasy is future reality. How's that? Fantasy is future reality. Shunyamurti. His version of the Matrix, collapsing the illusory world.
We are here. There's a lot of it has to do with the world that surrounds us and the state of the world. And this is a lot of why I am here as well. Mm-hmm. And I wanted you to, if you could, explain a little bit your perspective of what's happening. I know you touched on it briefly yesterday. If you could go a little bit deeper into why is it that we are here now? What is happening with the world right now? And perhaps you even mentioned that it is just part of something that might actually bring us to better condition. It's just part of the process. Mm-hmm. But in this, to analyze this moment, it seems to be very difficult. And maybe it's my ego wanting to understand something that I shouldn't. And that's all I wanted. That's it.
Well, we should understand everything, but the ego can't understand everything. If we want to understand the planetary situation really, we have to be in that planetary consciousness. There is a noosphere, or a collective consciousness that is actually bringing about all of the different events that are happening, many of which look catastrophic and that look very destructive. So we have to be able to see through that illusion and recognize that what is happening now is a temporary transitional phase. We're going from one reality into another, and to get from one level to the next higher level that we are definitely going to, we have to go through chaos, okay? There has to be the complete disruption of the current order, a total disorder, in order to get to the higher order. And so that's what's happening now. And it's happening by itself. You can't stop it. Literally, people are going crazy, right? The people who lead governments are crazy. I think you know that. I don't need to preach about all of that. It's pretty obvious. And the things that are happening in the world do not make sense from any logical point of view. If you're an economist, you cannot understand why is the Federal Reserve doing this? Why is the Bank of England doing that? Why did Britain just leave the EU, right? None of it makes sense if you were to think about it simply in a utilitarian perspective. But what we're seeing is the complete decomposition and coming apart of everything in the world, in every level. People are coming apart personally, they're coming apart interpersonally, families coming apart, nations coming apart, planets coming apart, the Earth's surface itself is coming apart with volcanoes and earthquakes and floods and fires all over the planet. Now we also have viral pandemics and et cetera, et cetera. So I don't need to go into the whole menu, but these are increasing exponentially. We must not be afraid of them. We must recognize that it is indeed a transition, and that the current civilization, just like every civilization, has a lifespan. The Roman Empire had 800 years. But then it was gone. It was replaced by another civilization. They called it the Holy Roman Empire, but it was not holy and not really Roman and not actually an empire. But that brought about a whole new civilization in Europe, and then the conquest of North America, the genocide of native populations. We've seen changes and horrors happen in our history, but they have never been to the global level that we are now experiencing. Because now, because of literally globalization, we have a more or less unified global civilization, thanks to telecommunications and all of the other technological advantages that people can fly around the world in hours, and bring viruses around the world in hours and everywhere. So all of the advantages and disadvantages of the ego's development of a high-tech world without reaching a level of wisdom in consciousness has created a malaise, a lack of harmony between our power to destroy and the lack of the wisdom to know how to control it. And so now, if we are going to deal with that successfully, our consciousness has to rise to a level of much greater wisdom and power than we have thought we had. And we cannot leave the world in the hands of the current rulers because they don't know how to manage this properly. And they are fully capable of pressing buttons to destroy everything in minutes. So in order to get to a point where we can manage the transition, we have to raise our consciousness to that point that we recognize that what we thought of as a world is actually the dream of a world, and that we are the dreamers and co-dreamers of that world, not the victims of stupidity at the top that is causing things to go wrong. So we have to shift that frame of reference, empower ourselves, and then take responsibility to use that power to redream a transition in which there doesn't have to be the kind of suffering that is current today, and that in which people can move into a different form of social organization as a result of entering a different form of psychological organization and a different form of relationality based on love and harmony rather than competition and of envy and of hatred, and that we can enter a state of consciousness that is unitive, that will enable all of the potency of human consciousness to be used in favor of life rather than death. It's that shift that is happening. And the catastrophic nature of what seems to be happening is what is motivating people to look for answers and to begin to find out that we have potential powers of mind that are latent, that we have not developed, because instead of that, we've let them atrophy and we've developed technology. So if we go back thousands of years in the past, it was a fact that we had telepathic ability to communicate with each other. Now we've lost it because we have iPhones and they can do it. But what we created and turned into gadgets, we also have the power to do. In the same way that we don't really need to take plant medicine if you want DMT. Your pineal gland can produce it, okay? You can produce whatever state of consciousness you want. You are the inherent master over consciousness, and the world is simply an appearance in consciousness. But from the ego level, that seems insane and is not understandable. But if you're willing to experiment and explore higher states of consciousness, you will discover that that supreme intelligence that created the world as a complete system that didn't arise out of some Darwinian random mutations. The world as a whole, it could not have arisen and been sustained any other way. That intelligence behind the whole can be harnessed, or we can surrender to it, which is more the case, in order to channel that perfection of a systemic wholeness in which all the parts serve the whole, in order to bring the planet to a new state of renewal, of regeneration, of rebirth. But to do that, we have to go through a personal death of the ego and rebirth as that fullness of consciousness that we are. And so that is what everyone is being driven to realize that they have to accomplish, because nothing less than that will enable you to manage the challenges of life, literally, that you'll have to face every day. And you won't be able to face it without a breakdown if you're in the ego level. Okay? So it's mandatory. We have to ascend to these higher levels of consciousness. The good news is it's not hard to do it. Once you want to, and you know it's there, and you're able to doubt your current beliefs, okay? You have to be able to have as much doubt in all of your beliefs and opinions as you have to have faith in the potentiality to reach the higher state. And then you have to have the tenacity to go for it and not ever get disheartened by the obstacles that will appear, that are all there to teach you and to enable you to accumulate more understanding, wisdom, and power to reach that highest state of consciousness, in which we will be able to direct the further evolution of the planet and the consciousness that is not only planetary, by the way, but we are actually, even though most people don't know it or want to know it, we are part of an interplanetary and intergalactic civilization. And we are being introduced into that true cosmopolitan citizenship through this transitional process that we're going through. And this planetary real estate that we haven't valued enough is very valued by other beings from different parts of the cosmos. And if we do not claim our right to it, it will be taken from us. But that right comes from a level of spiritual development that gives us the divine right to inhabit and flourish, because we have so much love for nature and for the processes of the universe that are God-given, that we are true stewards of the creation rather than destroyers of it. I hope that helps.
I just wanted to add one thing. When you were speaking, the word humility came to mind,
Indeed.
which is obviously the opposite of the ego.
Yes.
But in order to be able to achieve that change in one's being is, I think, probably one of the most important characteristics.
Absolutely right. I totally agree with you. And the word humble comes from the Sanskrit. Bal means power, and hum comes from the same word as humus, the soil, the earth. So it's the power of the earth. And it's that ability to find the ground of our being and to live from that ground. It's the lowest, but it's also the deepest, and it's the source of life. And so the more that we indeed humble the ego, but realize the exaltation of pure spirit through surrender to the God self, the more we will be given back the nobility that we lost by falling into ego consciousness.
Welcome to the real world. Welcome to the desert. Wow, how did he lay that out so freaking beautifully? Amazing, effortless, poetry in motion, by devotion. Trauma, facing your trauma is the key to get out of the matrix. Nothing happens until you look at your trauma. Without blame, without shame, without game, simply look at it. See what the nugget or the diamond is in the peanut butter jar. So you have to basically eat your way to the diamond in the peanut butter jar, and the murky and the sticky and the gunky. It can be funky, but you have to be a spiritual junkie and want something. And when you get to the diamond, the peanut butter starts tasting real good. That's the way out of the matrix, is looking at your trauma on levels you never thought that you had. It's a decision. The beautiful world already exists. Always has. Never will end. And it's patiently waiting. In fact, it's just patient. That's not even the right word either. It doesn't care. It's not patiently waiting for our arrival. It doesn't care because it will always exist whether we choose it or not. And it knows it. So it's comfortable, happy, whole, and complete with itself. That's the conscious moving stream of life. It's conscious. The matrix is everything else. The divine matrix is everything. But it is very much aware of the everything else. So you see, if everything is God, then that would have to mean fear is God. No. Everything is God. Fear is an illusion, and the only thing God is not. But you can bet that God is aware of not fear. God is not aware of fear. God is aware of what fear does to us. God can't be aware of fear. How can God be aware of fear? He's not aware of fear. It's the light that is forever, that's shining imbued in everything. But it does notice and recognize the effect it has on his child, you. And that feeling is not mild at all. That's how he knows what it does to you. He, she, it. Because it cares so much. Anything that we vibrate beyond what its desire, if there was such a thing, for us, we're simply calling to our parent, but unconsciously. John Doe is in trouble. I love John Doe just as he is. Does John Doe want to get out of the matrix? That's it. There is no other religion. Follow your religion. In fact, don't follow your religion. Dive into your religion, your life religiously. Want to become so unified with whatever path you follow that you lose sight of yourself. Meaning, and walking to the fullness of who you are, you will discover something else that you never thought that you were, which is everything. And then religion will fall by the wayside. But it's still a beautiful way to celebrate your life and your creator. The only way out of the matrix is to look at your trauma. Keith, how can you say that's the only way? It's the only way out of the matrix. Fear, insecurity, jealousy, anger. It's still trauma. If it's not trauma from your past, which it is, it doesn't nullify the fact that you might be inflicting trauma on other people. But it comes from your past as to why you now have it in your body, mind, energy, matrix to inflict it on other people unconsciously. See, it's not hard. Seek ye, and you shall find. Don't look too much, because touch will make you blind. You'll love beyond measure. The matrix, what is the matrix? There are longitudes and latitudes for everything. And there are points of meeting where these grids come together. Come together in a meeting with those that you care about. Expand your light. Expand your divine matrix. Be with yourself fully, as well as you are with those who fully want to be with you. In so doing, you become Neo, rearrange the letters, the one, and you escape the matrix. God bless you.